Good morning. Welcome to Fairmount Home's annual butterfly release. It warms my heart to be able to welcome families back to participate in today's ceremony in person, since this is our first truly in-person butterfly release since 2019. We welcome you today with full hearts, and we hope that today's ceremony helps you find comfort in what we know is a difficult time. We also welcome those who are watching today's ceremony from home, and we hope that today's service helps bring closure and peace. Each year we gather to remember the lives of the residents who have passed away in the last year. And while today is a day for grieving, it is also a day to celebrate. We remember the rich and full lives of our loved ones, and we celebrate the special moments that we shared. I can just imagine that the drive to Fairmount Home today likely inspired a lot of feelings as you return to your loved one's final home. I invite you to think of your loved one not necessarily as they were in their final moments and hours, but think of the collective memories you share. Remember their vibrancy, their passion, and their laughter. Remember the milestones and holidays you celebrated together, and the quiet moments too. Remember some of the little things, the times you maybe sat in this very courtyard and enjoyed the sunshine and the flowers. There is never enough time with the people we love, but we hope that today, like the butterfly, you can count not the months that you shared, but the moments. The butterfly reminds us that change and transformation can be beautiful, and I urge you today to think of your loved one as having transformed in this beautiful way. And as you watch your butterfly take its first flight, think of your loved one as being just as free and at peace as the butterfly who dances in the wind. It's my pleasure to introduce Cheryl Wilson, Fairmount Home's Residents Council President, to share a few words of welcome.
Good morning. My name is Cheryl Wilson, and I am Fairmount Home's Residents Council President. It is my pleasure to welcome you to today's ceremony. I've had the great pleasure of participating in this event several times. This ceremony brings comfort to you in your time of loss. I urge you to think of your loved one today. As your butterfly takes flight, and remember all of the memories you share. And know that you and your loved one are in our thoughts today, and we wish you peace.
Thank you, Cheryl. Next, I'd like to call upon Chelsea Cocker, Assistant Director of Care Resident Services, to welcome everyone on behalf of our management team and our palliative care community.
Although I'm currently on maternity leave, the Butterfly Committee was generous enough to invite me to speak today. This event means so much to our team and to our home. It gives us a beautiful chance to honor and release new life as we remember our family and friends who have died over the last year. Although it does not make the losses any easier, it allows us to celebrate the beauty in death and hopefully find a sense of comfort as we navigate forward. It is an overwhelming feeling having family members join us today in person as well as virtually. Many of you become family to our home, whether it be through daily visits, frequent phone calls, or emails checking in. We often don't think about how difficult it is to lose the connection we build with you when together we are focused on grieving the loss of your loved one. It is so meaningful to have you back with us today, remembering your loved ones. I want to thank you for allowing us the opportunity to get to know your loved ones and care for them in their last stage of their lives. It is truly a privilege. Before I end, I would like to share with you a poem that I've read that was written for a memorial release by Jill Hale. As you release this butterfly in honor of me, know that I am with you and will always be. Hold a hand, say a prayer, close your eyes, and see me there. Although you may feel a bit torn apart, please know that I'll forever be in your heart. Now fly away, butterfly, as high as you go. I'm right there with you, more than you know.
Thank you, Chelsea. We appreciate you coming in during your maternity leave and being here with us today. Music, no doubt, offers comfort to us in difficult times, and it's my pleasure to call upon Cheryl Wilson again to introduce our musical guest.
Melodia Monday is a non-profit, semi-professional a cappella choir based out of Gananoque. The choir is led by composer and musical director Stella Terhart. The group has existed for nearly 20 years, and we're grateful to be able to welcome them to perform for us today in person. The first song they will perform is very dear to me. It's a song called Hold On, and I wrote the lyrics, and Stella Terhart did the musical arrangement. It's about holding on to hope and faith during life's storms. This is the first time the song will be performed live for an audience. It's also my first time witnessing it performed as well. I'm truly humbled to have the song performed on Melodia Monday. And I hope that the lyrics and music bring comfort to you.
Lost at sea without a sail, waters rough, the winds prevail. With each wave I grow some more. I'll fight to get this boat ashore. You've got to hold on. Things are gonna get better. Hold on. Storms don't last forever. I've got to hold on a little bit longer. This fight has made me stronger. Sometimes I feel I can't go on. It's my faith that keeps me strong. I feel like I'm going under. How I go on, it makes me wonder. You've got to hold on. the joy we share as we tarry there. None other has ever known. He speaks and the sound of his voice is so sweet, the birds hush their singing, and the melody that he gave to me within my heart is ringing. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. I stay in the garden within, though the night around me is falling, but he bids me go through the voice of woe. His voice to me is calling, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known.
Thank you to Melodia Monday for sharing your musical talent with us today and for sharing that very special performance of Cheryl's song. I wish that we had time to share a few words about each of the amazing people we are memorializing today. When I look at the picture display in the front lobby, I'm struck by the number of talented and beautiful souls we remember today. I remember their smiles, their hugs, and the special moments we shared. I see faces of people who laughed with us, danced with us, cooked with us, and sang with us. I see talented artists, musicians, proud veterans, nurses, school teachers, entrepreneurs, homemakers, athletes, fishing enthusiasts, and farmers. I see storytellers, faithful church members, loving partners, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and true and lasting friends. I see the faces of people who we had the great fortune of knowing for many years, and others who we only had the pleasure to care for a few short weeks or months. While we might not have time to speak about every resident individually, Katie Milligan has put together a slideshow of pictures of each resident, and it's our pleasure to share it with you now. Thanks, Katie, for putting that touching tribute together. Faith is certainly a source of comfort to us when we face the loss of a loved one. Today, it is my pleasure to introduce Pastor Heidi DeYoung to share some ministry with us this morning.
Good morning to you, and it is an honor and privilege to be here with you this morning. I've been the pastor at Fairmount just since October, so I'm fairly new to the community. I follow in the footsteps of the beloved Pastor Lewis, whose life and everlasting life we are honoring today, along with the lives of all of your loved ones. Pastor Lewis's work here, establishing a pastoral and loving presence for so many years, made it so simple for me to step into this job. People loved him and just had a space for pastor in their heart, and so it is my privilege and honor to walk in his footsteps. Seeing all these pictures today on the video of Fairmount family members who have died this last year, I see some faces of people that I never met because I started in October, some who I only knew for just a little bit, and others who I journeyed with closely and got to know even better than I ever knew my own grandparents. And so just a lot of a mix of emotion as I journeyed with you through that slideshow. Having journeyed with many people over the course of my ministry, walking through the valley of the shadow of death, I know that dying can be hard work. It's hard work for the person who is dying, and hard work for those of us who are keeping vigil. There is all the clinging to life and trying to let go, the struggle for breath and comfort. We who are keeping vigil, whether we're family members or the staff of Fairmount, are doing our best to make the dying person as comfortable as possible. And at the same time, we might find ourselves wishing that we could do some of the work for them, that they wouldn't have to do it all on their own. But it is a work that we cannot do for them. It's the same for the butterfly, If you watch a butterfly trying to emerge from its cocoon, it looks like a struggle, and you might want to try to help by removing the casing for them so that they could be freer, faster. But that doesn't work. It is work that only the butterfly can do in their own time. It is work that only our loved one can do. We cannot do it for them. But in the midst of the difficulty of that, we trust two things that I want to talk about this morning. First of all, we trust that something Katie already mentioned earlier, that what is happening to that person who is dying is an important and beautiful transformation. The Apostle Paul writes in the Bible, in the book 2 Corinthians, though outwardly we are wasting away, inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. Since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. Outwardly, we are wasting away. All of us know this. We experience this even now in our lives. But inwardly, we are being renewed day by day. This is the story also of the transformation of a caterpillar to a butterfly. I did a lot of research on butterfly transformation and caterpillar transformation the last few days, just reading all about it. And I learned that when a caterpillar makes a cocoon around itself, the body and the matter of the caterpillar basically disappears and dies. But inside each caterpillar is what are called imaginal discs. I thought that was such a great word. Imaginal discs that turn into the antenna and the eyes and the wings and the legs of the butterfly. Though outwardly that caterpillar wastes away, inwardly, those imaginal discs are forming into the creature that it is to become, achieving for it a glory that it only could have imagined before. So as we kept vigil over our loved ones, I think we also imagined what was to come for them, focusing our eyes not on the breakdown of the body that we could see, but on what was unseen, on what we could only imagine. A significant and beautiful transformation. So we trust, that's the first thing that I invite you to trust, that what happened when your loved one died was a beautiful transformation into what was to come. And we also trust that in the midst of that transformation, as difficult as it was for them and for us, there was grace. This is something that my first spiritual director, her name was Sister Georgina, she was a nun in Michigan, and she taught me this many years ago. She said, Heidi, the grace is in the struggle. Sometimes we might think of the grace of God as something that is separate from our struggle, or that the grace comes only after the struggle. Maybe even some of us have said when we see someone struggling, oh, there but for the grace of God go I. As if someone's struggling, there is no grace there, right? But no, we trust that the grace comes to us right in the middle of our most difficult times. We find grace, or rather, grace finds us. This is something I don't say to someone who is right in the middle of the struggle, as if it's an instruction to them to find it. Look for the grace, look for the grace. But it is something that I see over and over again. That in the midst of people's hardest times, they experience just a flash of grace here and there. It is something that I witness, and it's something that I encourage you to see as you look back on the death of your loved one. It was hard, yes, it is still hard. But did you see the glory? Did you see any glimpse of grace or light in the darkness? Did you catch, maybe even just in your peripheral vision, the flash of a butterfly wing of the eternal? I trust that your loved one found grace in the struggle that was their transformation, and I trust that you found grace in the struggle that was your vigil. As I close, I want to share a little bit of a story of the grace that I found, or that found me, in the struggle of my mom's death a couple of years ago. In November of 2019, my mom, who was just 69 at that time, was diagnosed with a lung cancer that had metastasized to her bones and her brain. And so we knew we didn't have a long time with her. So my mom used that year to get ready to die. She did all that she could to get ready. One of the things she wanted was to make sure that a hospital bed was delivered to her house as soon as possible, so that at the very moment when she was ready to die, she could just get into that bed. That was what she wanted. And so, way before she needed it, she ordered that hospital bed. And my siblings, I was living far away, my siblings moved it into the family room of their home, which she called her happy place. It was the place where she sat in her couch and she did stitchery, and she called her brothers and her kids, and she wrote her diary and had her devotions and drank a lot of coffee. It was her happy place. So they moved the big piano out of her happy place, and they moved the hospital bed right in. It was like she was getting her cocoon ready. She wanted to be ready to die when the time came. And that time came on Monday night, November 2 of 2020. Instead of moving Mom into her own bed in her own room, my siblings and I helped her walk the 3 steps across the room into her bed, and we tucked her into that hospital bed right in her happy place. right in her cocoon. My sister remembers that Mom asked, "Why are you putting me in this bed? Am I dying? Is it time?" She was so ready. "Yes, Mama, it's almost time." Early the next morning, my mom said to me the last thing she ever said coherently to me, and it was a question. I'll never forget how the sun caught her blue-green eyes as she looked at me with a little furrow in her brow and a half smile on her lips, and she said, "Who are you?" And all I felt was love as I said, "Oh, Mom, it's me. It's Heidi. It's your daughter. I'm here." Mom had been afraid that her mind would go before her body was ready to go, and because there were tumors in her brain, we knew that this could be the case. I bear witness to the painful fact that some of you have heard your mom or your dad or your grandparent or your spouse ask you over and over again before they died, "Who are you?" But for me, it was just that once. And I even grew to treasure that question that she asked me, "Who are you?" In conversation with my spiritual director, I made a connection between that question, "Who are you?" and the question that God had for Adam and Eve in the garden after they had eaten the forbidden fruit. God called out to Adam and said, "Where are you?" And that question echoed through the life of Adam and Eve, God always asking, "Where are you?" My mom's question can also echo through my life, "Who are you? Who are you?" And I can say, "I am your daughter. I am the daughter of Jim and Winnie. I am the daughter of God. I am God's child. I am Jesus' little lamb," as my mom always said of herself. Who are you? When I said that to my spiritual director, Sister Lucy, she said, maybe that's a way you could think about it. And I like that. But then she said, what if when your mom asked you, "Who are you?" she just wanted you to tell her you were her daughter one more time. And I wept. "It's me. It's your daughter. It's Heidi. I'm here." There was grace, the flash of a butterfly wing, right in the midst of that struggle. And I trust that your loved one found grace, or that grace found them right in the midst of their struggle that was their transformation. And I trust that you also have found grace, and that grace is continuing to find you as you go through the continued journey, which is the grief and the celebration of the life of your loved one. I trust that grace is still finding you even today. Thank you for the chance that I've had to honor your loved ones today with you.
Thank you, Pastor Heidi. Your ministry brings comfort to us as we remember our loved ones. Each year we call upon one family to release the first butterfly in honor of their loved ones. Some years the decision of who to honor with this ceremonial release is a difficult one. This year it seemed fitting to have two ceremonial releases in order to honor both a staff member and a resident. Our first ceremonial release is in honor of Pastor Lewis Bryant. Pastor Lewis was the pastor here at Fairmount for over 11 years, and in that time, he touched us all with his kind and generous heart. Sadly, last December, Pastor Lewis lost his courageous battle with cancer. When I first started at Fairmount, a friend and former colleague told me that I would really love the pastor here. He was the minister at her own church and had the biggest heart. To say that she was right was a bit of an understatement. Pastor Lewis and his wife Joan became like family to me. They welcomed me and my own family into their home and always made us feel like we belonged. He was my son's first experience with Santa Claus. Pastor Lewis was loved by residents and staff alike. He had a quick wit, and he was as likely to tell you a dad joke as he was to lead you in prayer. He had a gentle way of being there with you when you needed him. He was probably the most generous person I have ever known, and there wasn't a birthday or holiday that passed without him giving a card or a gift. The daily chocolate bars that he gave out to staff, always remembering everyone's favorite variety, was just one of the acts of generosity that he did to brighten everyone's day. I feel fortunate to have worked with someone who would poke his head into our office just to say he loved us. A rare thing in most workplaces, I imagine. Pastor Lewis was a reliable and caring member of our team, and he would always be there when we needed him. It's fitting that we are honoring him here today, since he was such an integral part of our butterfly releases over the years. I remember when I approached him to assist with our first butterfly release, he was eager to help out in any way he could, and he came in on his days off to be present at our meetings and led us in words of comfort at each ceremony. Whenever he was needed, we could count on Pastor Lewis to be there. Before he would leave for the weekends, Pastor Lewis would often stop by our office and say, "I'll see you Monday, Lord willing." After he passed away in December, I couldn't help but take comfort in the thought that the Lord just wasn't willing to share Pastor Lewis with us anymore here on earth. It was our privilege to have had him here as long as we did. It's my pleasure to call upon Joan Bryant and Carrie Smith to share a few words and release a butterfly in honor of Pastor Lewis Bryant.
Thanks, Katie. And thanks for becoming a part of our family. You're an amazing person and friend. Thank you to the administration and staff for honoring Lewis today. He would have been humbled and honored. He enjoyed the butterfly release so much and loved being a part of it. Lewis enjoyed his time here as the chaplain at Fairmount. The day that he gave his resignation for health reasons was one of the saddest days. One of the saddest days for him, but he felt that the residents needed someone to be here for them at the time. He wished that he could have come back and said a final goodbye, but his health did not allow him that pleasure. Visiting with the residents was a joy for him. He always had a special place in his heart for seniors. Even way back when we started dating, he would stop and pick up a senior to take to church. I know that everyone enjoyed his jokes. Not necessarily. I don't know where he got them from, but he always had plenty to share. He shared them not only here, but at home with our kids and our grandkids. Thank you very much for giving him this honor. His family and I feel such gratitude that you have honored him in this way. I just want to thank you very much.
This ceremonial release is in honor of longtime resident Georgina Knapp. Georgie had been a member of our Fairmount family for 16 years, and in that time, she touched the hearts of staff, residents, and volunteers alike. Georgie was one of the first residents I met when I started working here at Fairmount, and it won't surprise anyone to hear that the first thing she asked me was if I would go fishing with her. She even offered to bait my hooks. Fishing was her passion, and she knew all the best fishing spots north of Kingston. Georgie was a fantastic storyteller, and she had some real colorful ones. Whether it was how she got back at the kids who teased her for having red hair, or one of her stories about acting as a fishing guide, Georgie knew how to capture an audience. It wasn't unusual for her to have us all in stitches as she recounted one of her stories at a tea party, or she asked to read our poems. Georgie enjoyed the finer things in life. She lit up when children or dogs visited the home. When asked, she'd tell you her favorite things were cold beer and old cheese. Here at Fairmount, it became hot tea and cold glasses of chocolate milk. She truly embraced Fairmount home as her home. And I remember making a video for the home's 50th anniversary. And when I asked her what she liked best about Fairmount, she just looked at the camera and said, "It's home." More than anyone I've ever met, Georgie lived her life on her own terms. Right up until her final days with us. If she didn't want her medication, she didn't like the meal we were having, or didn't want to have her bath, there was no convincing her. It was Georgie's way or the highway. Georgie was a longtime member of the Salvation Army Church, and faith was always important to her. I remember her telling me once about her days teaching Sunday school and how the most challenging North End kids always ended up in her Sunday school classes. And when I asked her how she handled those difficult kids, she just looked at me and said, all any of them ever needed was a little bit of love. And to me, that was Georgie in a nutshell. She prided herself on having a tough exterior, but deep down, she had a warm and caring heart. She was always rooting for the underdog, and once you made friends with her, you had a loyal and true friend for life. It's my pleasure to call upon Sharon Staley, Georgie's former roommate, to say a few words and release a butterfly in honor of her friend.
She was a good friend and a great roommate. There were times when she didn't say much, but she was always happy to hold hands. She liked to keep the curtains between our two beds open so we could see each other. She liked her hot cup of tea and cold chocolate milk. I'll miss her. And I'm honored to release this butterfly today in my friend Georgie.
Thank you, Sharon. It's not an easy thing to do to get up in front of people and share those memories of someone that you love so much, and I appreciate that she had the courage to do that for us today. It's my pleasure now to invite you to release your butterflies in honor of your loved ones. So Chloe will come around with her little basket with a butterfly for each of you. The thing with butterflies, as with people, some will linger with you a bit before they take off in flight, and others will take off immediately. We have staff available if you'd like someone to photograph your special moment. And we also recognize that this is a private moment, so if you prefer to just release it somewhere here in the courtyard on your own, that's more than okay as well. But please enjoy this moment, and we hope today has offered you some comfort and peace.